Okay, today we're going to look at the characteristics of a graph, and we're going to expand on it a little bit from Algebra 1. So you're going to learn what the end behavior of a graph is, what a relative max and minimum are, what a hole is, and what is meant by a graph increasing or decreasing. So if I look at this graph, there's a couple of things that I want you to notice. First, right here, we have this place right here, and that means that our graph does not exist, and we actually call that a hole. So we say that we have a hole at x equals 4, and that's important because that's going to affect our domain. Okay. Here, and I'm sorry this is hard to read, this is -6, so our domain is going to go from -6 to 4. So we're going to say x to 4 in parentheses because it's not included, and then union with 4 again to positive infinity. Okay. Our range, even though we have a hole there, we have other places where 2 exists. Right here. So our range is going to go from our lowest y value, which is -2, and it's going to go on forever and ever because of the arrow here. So our range is going to go from -2, it's included, to positive infinity. Remember that zeros, solutions, x-intercepts are all the same. So I have an x-intercept at about 2, 0, and that one looks just a little bit past 1, so let's go with 1.1 and 0. Okay. My y-intercept is right here at -2, or 0, -2. This graph doesn't have a maximum because it goes on and on forever and ever. Okay. However, it has what we call a relative max, which is here, and that is going to be at 5. So we use the y value. We do have a minimum, and it's not relative. We also call this sometimes an absolute minimum because it's actually there, and it's at -2. And it is the y value. The maximum and minimums are the y values. My end behavior of this graph, we say, is x is approaching infinity. So we're reading it from left to right. The graph is going to positive infinity, so y is going to positive infinity. Okay, and then as x goes to negative infinity, the graph does not exist. If we were to add the arrows here, we would say it goes to negative infinity. Okay. Increasing is where the graph rises as we read from right to left. So it's going to be on this interval here from -6 to the x value of 4. And we use a parenthesis there. And then it's increasing again from 0 to infinity. And we use parentheses because it's changing direction at that place. It's going from increasing to decreasing. So we say to infinity. Okay, and then our graph is decreasing from here to here. It's going down as we read. So we say it's decreasing from 4 to 0. Okay. Now, f of 0 means what is my function at 0? What is my y value? So at x equals 0, my y value is -2. at x equals -7, my y value is 1. And at f equal to 4, we have the whole, so we say it does not exist. All right, in this slide, let's add an arrow here and let's talk about that. Again, here, my domain is going to go, I've got a hole here. So my domain is going to go from -infinity to 0, union with 0 to infinity. My range, again, something exists here where this hole is, so my range is going to go from -infinity to infinity. In this graph, we actually can't see our roots. Well, I guess if we extended it as it is, it would be about -5.3, I guess, or 5.3. The y, there is no y-intercept. All right, so as I said, our y-intercept, there is no y-intercept because of that hole there. Our relative maximum is going to be this point right here, which is 5. Our relative minimum is our y value of 4. Our end behavior, as x approaches infinity, y approaches -infinity. As x approaches -infinity, y approaches positive infinity. My graph is increasing from 4 to 0. It's rising. It's actually also increasing from this point here on that little arc. So it's increasing from 2 to 4. It's decreasing from -infinity to 4. And then again, because we added the arrow from 4, this should be -4, I'm losing it. And then 4 to positive infinity. Okay. So I've looked at a whole bunch of different characteristics. Remember the end behavior, what happens to the graph as it goes from infinity or -infinity. Relative maximum or minimum is the highest point on the graph that we can see. A hole is a place where the graph doesn't exist, although the graph is all around there. And then increasing or decreasing as we read it from right to left.